In our headlines on this Friday, August 22nd, here in South Korea. The Lee Jae Myung administration's economic blueprint for the next 5 years is unveiled, and the focus is on artificial intelligence to spearhead a new era of innovative growth. Meanwhile, all three reform bills aimed at reshaping the governance of public broadcasters have been passed at the National Assembly, despite the dispute between ruling and opposition lawmakers. On the entertainment front, director Maggie Kang of K-Pop Demon Hunters says a sequel to this Netflix summer sensation is possible as there are many more demons left to conquer. The Lee Jae Myung administration has laid out its economic growth strategy for the next 5 years. The centerpiece is artificial intelligence. We have two-part coverage of this strategy today, and our senior correspondent Kim Do-yeon starts us off.
At least 60 times is how often AI was mentioned on Friday as 5 of the nation's top economy-related ministers unveiled a new economic roadmap for the Lee Jae Myung administration. The mission, become a top 3 global AI power, raise the potential growth rate to 3% and rank among the world's top 5 nations.
Our past success stories were written in an era of being a follower economy. Now, our competitors are the top 10 advanced nations. To win, we must transform all our national systems, designed for a follower economy, into a model for a super innovative, leading economy.
To fuel this vision, a national growth fund of over 100 trillion won or roughly $75 billion will be established, comprised of a total of 30 projects. 15 are related to fostering AI capacity in what the government calls the AI Great Transformation. The 15 flagship projects are put into 3 categories. Physical AI, with 7 projects, focuses on merging AI with South Korea's strong manufacturing base to strengthen robotics and auto industries, among others. Public sector AI, with 3 projects, involves integrating AI into government services to improve efficiency for areas such as welfare, employment, and tax administration. Foundational AI initiatives, with 5 projects aimed at creating an underlying ecosystem for AI to flourish, with talent cultivation and AI education accessible to earlier ages and all citizens. To execute this, each ministry has a role. The Minister of Science and ICT has outlined plans for an AI highway, securing over 50,000 advanced GPUs by 2030 and developing proprietary Korean AI models to ensure digital sovereignty. Meanwhile, the Ministry of SMEs and Startups has pledged to reignite the investment scene.
We will make the recovery of the contracted venture investment ecosystem our top priority and expand the venture investment market to over 40 trillion won annually by 2030, more than 3 times its size in 2024.
The strategy extends across the board, with the Agricultural Ministry set to integrate AI into farming and the Industry Ministry supporting the new high-tech manufacturing projects. Meanwhile, the government hopes this innovation-led approach will secure long-term growth, but it remains focused on the present as well. It forecasts a modest 0.9% expansion this year before rising to 1.8% next year. Kim Do-yeon, Arirang News.
Staying with South Korea's growth strategy, our correspondent Moon Ji-young now delves into details of this development plan for some of the key industries. Do take a listen.
We will select 30 leading projects in AI-driven transformations and the super innovation economy and immediately begin preparations, starting from the second half of this year.
These pivotal technology-driven initiatives directly propel South Korea's ambitions for technology-led growth. Central to this vision of a super innovation economy is a concentrated effort in advanced materials and components. A key focus is on silicon carbide semiconductors. Currently heavily reliant on imports, the Korean government has set ambitious targets for SiC power semiconductors. It aims to raise self-sufficiency from 10% to 20% and increase domestic production from below 5% to 10% by 2030. Beyond these, Korea is also pushing for the localization of LNG cargo tank technology, a critical component of LNG carriers that currently account for over half of shipbuilding revenue, with about 5% of the vessel cost being paid to overseas companies as technology fees. Significant efforts are also to be directed towards climate change and future energy response. This includes securing core technologies for next-generation solar cells and promoting solar glass. Regarding small molecule reactors, technology development projects are underway to obtain standard design approvals by 2028. Harnessing the global success of the Korean wave, the government is intensifying support for K-wave industries across the bio, content, beauty, and food sectors. For K-content, including games and webtoons, AI integration will span the entire cycle from planning to distribution to boost exports from $13.2 billion in 2022 to $25 billion by 2030. In the beauty industry, which ranked third globally in exports last year, the goal is to cultivate one customized K-beauty integrated cluster to propel it to become one of the top 2 global leaders. The government is poised to fundamentally redirect capital flows, which have been overly concentrated in real estate, towards productive sectors like corporate investment. This move aims to address the chronic undervaluation of the domestic stock market that has resulted in the Korea premium. The government has also unveiled measures to strengthen the livelihoods of small businesses and the self-employed. 문지영, 아리랑 뉴스.
Meanwhile, President Lee Jae Myung says science and technology is the key to South Korea's future. Now, these remarks were made at the first meeting of the Presidential Advisory Council on Science and Technology earlier today, during which a substantial R&D investment sum for next year was set aside.
역사적으로도 보면 과학기술을 존중한 나라, 또 과학기술이 발전한 나라는 흥했고 과학기술을 천시하는 나라, 그런 나라는 되게 망했습니다. 과학기술 분야에 대한 투자와 관심을 얼만큼 가느냐에 따라서 국가의 미래가 결정되는 것 같습니다.
A record amount of 35.3 trillion won, or over $25 billion has been allocated for research and development, with investment in AI in particular doubled from the previous year. The president also shared hopes for this latest initiative to usher in a fresh era of national development. Foreign Minister Cho Hyun is in Washington, D.C. to finalize preparations for Monday's summit between South Korea and the U.S. As part of such efforts, there is talk about a potential meeting with U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio to fine-tune the summit agenda. The presidential office here has also said Cho's trip to the U.S. is aimed at closer coordination ahead of the much-anticipated meeting at the White House on August 25th. Former National Assembly Speaker Park Byung-seok has been tapped to head a special delegation to China. According to presidential spokesperson Kang Yoo-jung on this Friday, the 4-member team will be made up of Park and ruling Democratic Party lawmakers Kim Tae-yeon, Park Chung, as well as No Chae-hun, director of the East Asian Culture Center. During their 4-day visit starting this coming Sunday, the envoys will meet with senior Chinese officials, including Zhao Leji, chairman of the National People's Congress Standing Committee, as well as Foreign Minister Wang Yi. They will deliver a presidential message on advancing ties under the two countries' strategic cooperative partnership. This marks the 12th and final group of special envoys dispatched by the Lee administration since taking office. The Parliament has passed all 3 bills related to reform at the media, that is, ushering in a new era of governance of public broadcasters. Our An Sung-jin has the latest.
A bill to amend the Korea Educational Broadcasting System Act was passed during the National Assembly plenary session on Friday. The reform, that's aimed at increasing the number of directors for EBS from 9 to 13, also includes diversifying the personnel who can recommend director candidates. The filibuster on this revision, which was brought by the main opposition People Power Party to block the bill's passage, ended on Friday morning and was followed by a vote immediately. The People Power Party boycotted the vote. With 179 votes in favor and 1 against among 180 members present, the National Assembly voted to pass the amendment. The PPP had argued that the revision would mean control over the role of public broadcasting, while the Democratic Party had claimed that it would ensure the fairness of EBS's governance. This means that all 3 media reform bills, including revisions to the Broadcasting Act and Foundation for Broadcast Culture Act, to amend the legislation on public broadcasters, key to the current Lee Jae Myung administration's media reform agenda, have been passed. All 3 bills were previously vetoed by former President Yoon Suk-yeol. An Sung-jin, Arirang News.
In other news, Russia's Vladimir Putin is prepared to meet with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy, but under certain conditions. Now, this is according to Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov, speaking to members of the media on Thursday, during which he questioned the Ukrainian leader's political legitimacy. President Zelenskyy had postponed Ukraine's presidential election after his term expired last May, citing martial law. Accordingly, Lavrov claimed Ukraine must first address the issue of who has the authority to seal any future deal between the two countries before a summit between their leaders. British daily The Guardian says 5 out of every 6 Palestinians killed by Israeli forces in Gaza have been civilians. Now, this unsettling statistic was published on Thursday following investigation with Israeli-Palestinian publication Plus 972 magazine and Hebrew language outlet Local Call. Also, according to this report, by May, 53,000 Palestinians had been killed in the conflict, with civilians accounting for 83% of the fatalities. The Seoul Central District Court has issued an arrest warrant for Chun Sung-bae, a shaman linked to bribery allegations against former First Lady Kim Gon-hee. The court cited potential evidence tampering as reason for the warrant. Separately, former Prime Minister Han Duck-soo was summoned for another round of questioning on this Friday regarding former President Yoon Suk-yeol's short-lived martial law. The council says it will decide whether or not to seek an arrest warrant after today's session. As we've been reporting this month, Korea marks its 80th anniversary of liberation from Japanese colonial rule, and in light of this occasion, the National Archives of Korea is opening a special showcase tomorrow that walks us through the years since then. Our Shin Ha-young has a glimpse.
80 years ago, the light of independence broke through the darkness. Since then, Korea has risen from the ashes, achieving rapid growth, democracy, and a global cultural influence. To celebrate the 80th anniversary of Korea's liberation from Japanese colonial rule, the National Archives of Korea is hosting a special exhibition, A Journey of Light Through 80 Years of History.
The special exhibition here at Gwanghwamun Square features a structure of 80 pillars symbolizing Korea's 80 years since liberation, with LED displays showing the nation's resilience and achievements.
At the start of the exhibition, in the prologue section, visitors can hear a Korean language broadcast from Voice of America on the morning of August 15, 1945, before the Japanese emperor's surrender, delivering the sound of liberation.
Bringing to you in the various languages the message of President Truman to the effect that Japan has accepted the Allied terms of unconditional surrender. Here now to our listeners in Korea.
조선 동포 여러분, 일본은 포츠담 선언 조건을 완전히 접수하였습니다.
Under the title Now Our Nation, the first part of the exhibition shows how the people founded the Korean government and features a replica of the Republic of Korea's first constitution. In the second part, Divided Destiny, One Dream, visitors can for the first time hear 1950 interviews conducted by a member of the UN Commission on Korea with refugees at a camp in Kimhae following the outbreak of the Korean War. With 3 additional parts, the exhibition also highlights Korea's journey from industrialization and democratization to the global impact of its culture.
The exhibition lets people experience Korea's path of industrialization and democratization through records. We hope Koreans overseas and people worldwide will also join in sharing these achievements.
The special exhibition runs from Saturday through the end of August, and since it is held outdoors, visiting hours are 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. so visitors can avoid the heat. 신하영, 아리랑 뉴스.
Director Maggie Kang of K-pop Demon Hunters says a sequel to this Netflix summer sensation is possible as there are many more demons left to conquer. Our Park Go-nu sat down with her.
Homecoming Golden. After shaking the world with K-pop Demon Hunters, director Maggie Kang has returned to Korea, the home of K-pop.
Well, every time I come to Seoul, I feel like I'm home. So when the plane touches down, I just think to myself, oh, I'm home now.
Having spent lots of summers in Seoul as a young girl, Kang says her back-and-forth life between Korea and abroad became a deep source of inspiration.
All the summers I spent in Seoul, I was here. I was experiencing it firsthand. I was feeling everything. I was smelling the smells. And that memory just kind of stays with you. And, you know, it almost becomes real. It's like you're reliving your memories. And that paired with all the kind of pop culture and references that I learned from Western culture.
Back then, her love for K-pop was often dismissed by her friends abroad. But now she feels a massive shift to how K-culture is embraced in the West, making her proud to be a Korean.
Well, when I was a little bit more insecure, I hid it from people. But the older I got, I knew that I've always just had this like strong Korean pride, so it always had stayed with me. And then to see Korean culture just be more, I don't know, like just loved and people wanting more of it, I've just seen that gradually happen where now it's kind of unavoidable. You go to a fast food restaurant and there's like a gochujang flavor of chicken wings, and it's just natural. It's just like kind of completely accepted into mainstream, and that's just amazing to me. You know?
Seeing the rise of K-pop's popularity, Kang says she wanted the film to reflect that connection with fans, not tied to just one idol group.
We opened up kind of a reference board to our entire crew, and by the time that we got into designing these characters and figuring them out, literally everybody was on there. You know, we took elements of this idol or this group, and so it is really a mix. You know, when they see Huntrix, they think, I'm a fan of this group, and so for me, Huntrix is this group. I just wanted to make a film for every K-pop fan to enjoy in their own way.
The movie took around 7 years to make, leaving a question. How does she manage to stay relevant and trendy?
It's really about the story and really staying true to what the audience is going to connect with, and that's really the emotional story of the characters and the message of the film. And I think from the very beginning that was really set. That was our kind of North Star. It was all a culmination of everybody's like favorite things.
She even shared her favorite scene that much effort was put into.
Well, all of the scenes are like my children, and I can't really say that any of them were easy. One of the scenes that I'm most proud of is the very opening scene where we see the old-time original hunters, and we see Korean culture from, like, you know, the Joseon era to modern day. It's such a short moment, but for me, being someone who's Korean, it was just such an emotional feeling to like see our tradition just on screen.
With global fans still excited about the movie, Kang gave us a sneak peek of a potential sequel.
After spending so many years making this film, there's a lot of ideas that didn't make it in. So there's different types of demons that we didn't get to feature. So I would love to feature new demons, you know, that are different visually and different types of music. And I think there's a lot of backstories that we can flesh out and give the fans a little bit, you know, more information on.
Can you give us a message for all the roomies outside watching that are struggling for finding their dreams and trying to pursue their career that they want?
Yeah, don't be scared. you know? Stay true to yourself, and if you feel scared, you're probably doing something right, because it means that it hasn't been done. And it means that it's coming from somewhere deep inside of you. And I think once you create any work of art or put anything out there that's a part of yourself, that's what people want to see. That's what people connect to the most.
At the end of the day, Kang stressed the film carries one true message: don't be scared of who you are. Echoing the lyrics of K-Pop Demon Hunters' theme song, Golden. I'm done hiding. Now I'm shining like I'm born to be. Park Geon-woo, Arirang News.
This is The World Now, bringing you the latest stories from around the globe. In Israel, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has announced that Israel will begin ceasefire negotiations aimed at releasing all hostages and ending the Gaza war on conditions acceptable to Israel. Addressing Israeli commanders and troops in Gaza on Thursday, Prime Minister Netanyahu confirmed the authorization for an expansion of military operations aimed at seizing Gaza City. He also announced the initiation of new immediate ceasefire negotiations with Hamas. Netanyahu said these negotiations aim to achieve an end to the war and the release of all our hostages, but he insisted that the terms must be acceptable to Israel. While Hamas has proposed a 60-day ceasefire along with a prisoner exchange, Israel's conditions remain the complete disarmament of Hamas and the end of its military control over Gaza. Netanyahu highlighted a dual-track strategy of both military pressure and diplomatic dialogue, evidenced by the mobilization of 60,000 reservists and the planned ground offensive to seize Gaza City. The Israeli military has warned medical officials and international organizations to prepare for evacuation of nearly 1 million residents of Gaza City ahead of the new ground operations. In Italy, a Ukrainian man has been arrested in connection with the 2022 Nord Stream pipeline explosions. Italian police arrested Serhiy K., a 49-year-old Ukrainian, at a holiday bungalow near Rimini in central Italy in the early hours of Thursday. The arrest was executed under a warrant issued by German prosecutors. They accused Serhiy K. of being one of the masterminds of the sabotage in 2022 of the Nord Stream pipelines that carry energy under the Baltic Sea from Russia to Germany. The operation to destroy the pipelines was carried out from a yacht with a team that included divers and support operatives. This is the first arrest in a case that Swedish and Danish authorities had closed in 2024 without resolution. German Justice Minister Stephanie Hübig commended the operation and reaffirmed Germany's commitment to the rule of law, distancing this case from its unwavering support for Ukraine. Egypt has successfully retrieved a collection of 2,000-year-old artifacts from the seabed of Abu Qir Bay off the coast of Alexandria. The find includes a headless statue, a sphinx, Roman coins, and a carved priestly figure, which archaeological evidence suggests could be remains from an extension of the ancient city of Canopus. The site also revealed limestone building remains, including residential structures and places of worship. Egypt's Antiquities Minister Sharif Fatih emphasized that the lifting operation followed a 2001 UNESCO agreement, raising only select artifacts to preserve the broader underwater heritage. Choi Ji-hee, Arirang News.
The heat wave keeps gaining momentum. Due to the strong sunshine and hot and humid southwesterly winds, the heat wave warnings have been strengthened in Seoul this morning. While heat wave warnings have been extended in the Seoul metropolitan area and much of the Chungcheong-do provinces, heat wave advisories have also been issued in some mountainous areas of Gangwon-do province. Although it is Choseol tomorrow when the heat is supposed to go away, the heat will continue this weekend, with daytime temperatures rising to 34 degrees Celsius in Seoul. It will feel hotter than 35 degrees across the country. Tomorrow, with nighttime heat continuing, Seoul, Busan, and Jeju will start off at 27 degrees. Highs will move up to around 33 to 36 degrees across the country. Rain is forecast in the Seoul metropolitan area and western parts of Gangwon-do province next Monday. That's all for Korea. Here are the weather conditions around the world.
Those are the headlines at this hour. As always, thank you for watching.